It's 7 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next order of business is the consent calendar. You have before you the council minutes for February 1st and the special meeting on February 22nd. And you also have the check register claims totaling $59,262.16. Check numbers 1445E, 1446E, 1458E, and paper checks 132555 through 132608. Is there anything anyone would like to have pulled off the consent calendar and discussed separately? Commissioner Maroney, Councilman Maroney, Councilman Schmidt, Councilman Williams, Councilman Baca?
No, sir.
All those in favor of the consent calendar indicate by saying aye. Those opposed? Consent calendar is approved. Next order of business is open forum, and anyone wishing to address the city council, they can do so at this time. Please come forward, state your name and address, and let us hear what you have to say. Open forum is open.
Good evening, Moy Wallers, 8871 Birch Lane, Breezy Point, Minnesota. I think my sheet says 13255. Did you say 555?
I could have misspoke.
Can't believe that.
132555 and through 132608.
13255, yeah, correct.
Okay.
Bingo.
Oh, you're right. I didn't notice in the agenda it says 13255. 555. Got it. That would be a lot of checks to issue in 1 month if that would be the case. Nobody else appearing before the open forum. The open forum is closed. Next order of business is the mayor and city council reports. For the mayor's report, we have back in December we were approached about the possible sale of city-owned lots along the airport runway there, and we elected to have some appraisals made of those lots, independent appraisals made of those lots, and we have received those. At this point, all we are looking for is, and we have the numbers there, just if you take and add them all up, the appraised values come in for the 4 lots at $54,500. The county has those lots assessed at $37,200, a difference of $17,300. So what is coming before us today basically is, are we interested in selling these lots and at what price, and do we want to even discuss this at this point, or do we want to delay this to a later meeting?
Mayor, I would, just if I might interject, we're not being asked necessarily to take any specific action tonight.
Correct.
As I understand it, the airport board is meeting tomorrow, and they are aware of this possibility. And I think it would be prudent for us to postpone discussion on this matter until we get the input of the airport board. And I would move to postpone it until the April meeting.
Okay, that's
Second.
perfectly acceptable. I don't think we really need a motion in second, but we can table this until the April meeting.
Motion and second.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling until April, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Table until second. Council members report. I will start with Councilmember Bakken.
Thank you. Couple of things on the fly-in. A tentative date has been scheduled by the powers that be that I was informed of yesterday. That would be May 7th. Several reasons about that. Neil, I'm sure you're on board with that. It joins his celebration and his nice offer last year. A prime reason other than that was the only air traffic controller that was available was a gentleman that served last year, and the Federal Aviation Administration requires that. So that's the reason that it's set. That's the, not set in stone, of course, but it's looking much like that. A couple other comments that I have received as liaison, and Chief, I need to get you on board with this, if you will. Last year there was a good participation by the police department, of course. I don't remember who was there. But one thing of note that I've been informed is that the state requires, and the FAA requires, an paramedic be on site in case of a crash. Okay, so that's two are paramedics. Am I correct, Chief?
Yes.
So that I would ask you to chase that one down if you would. Fire truck was there last year and it is requested again this year. I can take care of that unless you want to call Tom Nelson. I can field that. Makes no difference.
Yeah.
Okay, I will take care of that myself. Also, there's been a request for some displays, if you will, on some of the rescue equipment you've got. So, you know, the taxpayers have paid for that. They'd like to see it there, and that would be appreciated. Lastly, the watercraft from Crow Wing County also to be displayed, if that could be. And if you would take care of that for me, fine. If not, I'll do it. It's up to you.
I will, and also the first responders were already active about being there as well.
Well, that's it in a nutshell so far. Stay tuned.
And last year, from the standpoint of first responders, the first responders from the helicopter service, as well as
Yep.
they had
Yep.
paramedic truck right there, during the entire
Yeah.
event, showing off their wares.
Yeah, so it's kind of a rush for you, Diane, and the Parks Commission. The meeting this month was canceled, and I kind of hoped it wouldn't have been, but doesn't make any difference. There's plenty of time, and it's fairly well run, fairly well oiled.
Can you clarify what they want? Because we had some conflicting ideas on what they wanted from Parks. So we just kind of backed off and said, well, we'll wait till Cliff gets back.
He's back, just back.
Okay.
Been back a week,
So
and
can you clarify, please? Because I know someone else here would be interested.
Mhm.
What is it they want?
I'll ask him directly. What I've heard is, you want to offer the disc course. I don't see why we would not do that. That's part of the city. If they want to participate in that, fine. I don't know, whatever else you or the commission might offer to them.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the middleman here.
Yeah, when I was first approached on it, they were just brainstorming. They would like to see some city involvement, and I think I would like to see some city involvement.
Absolutely.
As far as coordinating some efforts. We wouldn't necessarily have to have like a disc golf tournament or something like that. We could have something going on over here in the city complex.
I agree with that, and Neil is so generous with. No, you are, Neil. That's a pretty nice contribution that you made last year, and I was very impressed with it, and it warmed my heart, if you will. If there's something that the city could perhaps do to help.
One of the things that was talked about was if we did something here They run the issue of people crossing the highway. And I thought that might be a problem.
They're not gonna cross the runway, that I can guarantee you. There's gonna be lines up, they can't.
No, but well, I wasn't at the deal last year, I was on vacation.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was there, where it was set up, but I know that the parks people, someone said, if we have things here and there's other things across the street, there's a problem of people crossing the street and the highway, and it could be dangerous if you had kids trying to run across not realizing.
Yeah, I hear you.
that-
Well, that's taken care of.
That was
The
one
FAA
issue.
will not allow anybody to cross that runway, and there's
talking
gonna be
about
another
the
line.
street with
I understand
cars.
that. So that will be on the city's onus, I would think, to prevent that from happening if we have something on this side versus over there.
So did you make them aware of the disc golf course?
I certainly did.
Okay.
I certainly did.
Because that was our first idea, and then that was shut down by someone who said, no, that's not what they're asking for at all. So then we just.
Well, I don't know who that was. I have not heard that, so I feel like I'm in touch, but
Well, we still have a little bit of time.
certainly,
And,
Okay.
certainly.
I would just, I think we just need to find out if we want to have some activities. We could either have it over on this side with, because we have a crosswalk down there, and just have designated crossing. And people could walk over here and
It's not that far.
whatever. So, I mean, we still have
I
time to
agree.
figure out.
I agree.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Williams, you have anything?
Well, we are gonna have the park committee.
Right, yeah.
Plan, but I wanted to make one comment. I have recently met the high school, junior high music teacher, and he's very pleased we have the Harmony Parks. And I said, if you were here, could you actually play a song on it? Oh, he says, definitely. So I'm thinking maybe when we get ready for another one, we will talk to him and let him give us some expert advice on music.
Right. And I think it was a while back, Region 5 was trying to get a grant, it was a multi-million-dollar grant for, arts and this kind of stuff, where the arts in the park that we have, or the music in the park here, would have qualified for additional grant money on that. That fell through. We did not get that grant. Region 5 did not get that grant, but they are working on a similar grant of a much smaller amount. So that is still in the works, and we could qualify for that.
And another comment, the music teacher happens to have property very near the disc golf. And he said, thank you for that, we love it.
I have heard multiple comments on how nice that is shaping up for people to go out and, play the disc golf course.
Betcha.
I'm really excited
That
about
should
getting
make
the
Joe
next
feel
one.
pretty gratified for all the effort.
No, I've heard multiple comments from people, outside the
Yeah,
city.
yeah, so
that
it
this
was,
is
it
really
was good to
nice.
hear that. And
Yeah.
this is someone who lives nearby, not complaining that something's near their house, but happy.
Right. Okay. Councilman Schmidt.
Just wanted to restate or reiterate again that the Heartland Cable Commission Scholarship Program, the applications for that are due April 15th. And I guess we're just not getting the word out. It might be a hint to the Echo if they would assist us on that. But this is a great opportunity for both the traditional and non-traditional students in our area to apply for a $1,500 scholarship. We have 4 of those available, and like I said, the deadline is April 15th. Applications are due in at the 3 schools that we interface with. That would be the Pine River Bacchus, the Pequot Lakes, and the Brainerd school districts. Applications are available from them, and the filled out applications should be returned to the person at the school. I think they call it the resource person. Pam, can you help me out on that one? Yeah, the counselor at the school, at the 3 school districts. And then the Cable Commission will retrieve those and rank them and then award the the scholarship should be around, I would say, May 1st, no later than May 15th. That's all.
Councilman Barone?
I have nothing.
Okay. Next order of business, we have the Parks Capital Improvement Program. Part of the comprehensive plan, departments have been updating their long-range plans. We do have the Parks Capital Improvement Plan before us. It does talk about finishing up the development of the back nine on the disc golf course. There's been some comments on the fishing boardwalk being basically not close enough to the water, and we're looking at a couple different options. Kind of the nuclear option is to have a floating dock. Another one is to just have longer poles reach down and hit bottom, but bottom is quite a ways down. So there's some engineering that might have to go in there as far as getting that to work. And then you also have the 2016 and the 5-year plan going ahead. And Councilman Williams, as park liaison, do you have much to add to this or anything more?
I'm not, but I'd make the motion that we passed it.
Yes, you also have the, no, we don't have a,
Do we need a motion?
Just a motion.
Is it?
oh,
A motion?
just a motion to
Okay.
approve the
Yeah,
5-year
second.
plan? Okay. Motion by Williams and second by Bakken. Discussion, Councilman Barone.
Looking through it, it excited me that a couple, which I believe are new items on there, bocce ball court and pickleball tennis courts. I think those were pretty intuitive to add into here. I think that's a great idea, and wish it was sooner than a 5-year plan on those ones, but excited to see that some consideration was going towards that.
Within this, we have moved things around, so, we have the ability to become fluid and rearrange it. But stating the intention, I think, is worth something.
Yeah. A little different on seeing the baseball field be spread out like that, but I understand why.
Councilman Schmidt.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the Park Commission for coming up with this capital improvements plan. I know back in the time when I asked that something like this be presented to the council, and it's nice to see it, and it's a very energetic plan. I note the in the very end or tail end, there's some suggestion of a community center, which is a pretty high ticketed item for this small community. But I would hope someday we could have something like this in place. It would be a great addition to the city. But having said that, I am troubled by the what I see for the fishing pier, the fishing boardwalk. Council recalls, I'm sure that I was the only member of this council that voted against that project when it was put forth. I felt that it wasn't very well thought out. I don't think we had the proper engineering on that project. There were a lot of unknowns. I noticed, Mayor, you said this evening there are some other options other than the nuclear option where we could sink poles, but we still don't know how deep that muck is. I think you said something to the effect that, we know it's there, but
There has to be a bottom.
there has to be a bottom somewhere, and where that is, I would like to know before we get too far into the discussion. But again, I just don't think it was a very well thought out project. The concern I have is there's a reason for that ditch to be there in the first place. If we start moving that dock out into the navigation area of that ditch, is that going to interfere? Are we running up against some state requirements, laws, or whatever? Because I think the DNR maintains oversight on even that ditch. If I'm not mistaken, that was brought to the attention of this council some time back. I don't know how many craft use that particular ditch during the summer. I suspect that if we somehow do something that impedes that navigation factor, we're gonna hear about it. And it may be, again, throwing good money after bad to put floats on a dock. I don't care what you do with it. It just may not be the place for a fishing pier. Having said that, the question I have for Joe is, does this obligate us for future years as a budgetary process matter?
The only budget that we're looking at is the amount of the line items for each year. The 2016 budgets, if it's under 5,000, committee can go ahead and do it. Anything over that has to come back to council.
Now, did we have a proposal previously about this 21.5 cost for the floats?
No, it was, so we'll have to come back to you with any decisions made about how we can improve that situation.
Another question, Joe, can I assume or not assume that we have a committee that kind of writes herd on the budget, correct?
Yes,
And have they seen this number?
I believe they have. I don't
We just
recall.
briefly discussed it.
Yeah.
But, nothing finalized, because it was basically just, we didn't know which way we were gonna go.
So we don't have a recommendation from that committee?
No, we're still
No.
looking at options. And I think to answer, some of your questions, DNR has cognizant over anything below the ordinary high water mark. And as far as docks go, they can be into the riparian area, basically into the water, as long as it doesn't impact the navigation. So if you go up that channel, you will see docks, instead of going straight out into the channel, they go horizontal along the bank. And this is essentially what we would be doing, just be a couple of feet into the channel, which would not impede the navigation, but you would be able to drop your line straight down into water.
That's all.
And that's
all
the
we want,
issue.
yeah.
That's all the issue. So, we do have the couple options. We do talk in here about excavating for the floating docks. Well, that's not excavating, that's dredging, and that adds a whole different level of problems. You need to get permit to do the dredging, and you can't just pick up the dirt and put it on land. You have to take it away, because even though you pick it up out of the lake, it's considered contaminated and you can't put it back into the lake. So dredging is a significant problem that you have to work with. And I was saying, in my own opinion, I think the longer poles with the correct diameter and stiffness will work, because it's one integral unit that once you tie them all together, the poles aren't going to move. And if they go down into the sand, into the bottom, they will be permanent and stable. And I think that's probably going to be our minimal cost. But essentially, we would have to rebuild it, going out and moving it out a little ways. But that's what you learn when you put docks in muck. 'Cause that's where mine is, and I learned. Councilman Maroney. Anything?
We were going that way.
Oh, we're going that?
Thank you.
Councilman Williams.
Think about it, like, I already spoke on this.
I already spoke on this, okay.
I kinda
Never mind.
like the change,
At my
though.
age, you know how it goes.
No,
Councilman Williams. Councilman Buckner.
A couple
Okay.
quick observations. I appreciate your explanation, Mayor, on the pile driving idea, so to speak. And that seems to be a reasonable solution to the problem. I also still want to give my full support to that project. That's something that's been asked for a long time there by folks who fish there, and I won't go into those stories, and I'm very happy that it's there. And I think, from what I'm hearing, that Otto's Councilman Schmidt, questions can be addressed.
If I just might make one observation, now would actually be a good time to go look for bottom, because you can go out there with an ice auger, make a hole, and just drop poles down there and couple them together to see how far down it is.
Joe, you're
Hurry
great.
up.
Yeah,
They don't have
Huh?
19.
because I built half of my dock in the wintertime, where just drilled holes and dropped my poles down.
We did that a month or two ago.
Oh, you did?
with our longest probe we had, and we added the longest extension.
That's a 20-foot.
Yeah, approximately.
Can you get a 40-foot steel rod? And
It's
Okay.
very homemade. I would be more comfortable if we could withdraw a sample, and that's what I'm thinking, if we could find somebody that actually could pull a core up.
Core sample?
Because I'm pretty confident I would know the field's end when I hit it with the
Okay.
rod. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
you can tell, but we were not able to reach
Okay.
that.
Well, that would be the first thing we would need to find out, you know, if we can find somebody that could do a core sample for us. Okay,
They do that.
it's a common thing. Okay, all those in favor of approving the capital improvement plan for parks?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
Capital improvement plan is approved. Next item of business is the paving and seal coating projects. We have outlined the paving. This is the paving and seal coating projects as recommended by our roads committee for 2017 and somewhat beyond. And we also have the money looking at, you know, the cash flow looking at what monies we will have and the costs associated with it. Let's see. At this point, I'll be looking for a motion to approve the road plan. We'll take discussion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Councilman Schmidt, I'll start with you as part of the road committee.
Well, we got excellent input from city staff regarding the seal coating, and one item in particular that we looked at was the concept of using chip seal on some of our gravel roads. Seems to be a, no pun intended, the street we would like to go down. And working in conjunction with the folks at the county, they would be interested in perhaps assisting us in some way. They've got a lot of these situations themselves, and I think they'd like to see how it would work out here in Breezy. As far as the paving program is concerned, for the 2017 season, we looked at the White Birch 6th edition, as you'll see in your note, and we came up with a number for consideration of paving those roads. We also, when we saw the bids for the projects for 2016, looked at the possibility of doing all the roads in that particular subdivision in 2017. So we're bringing that to the council for consideration. Michael's also on that committee, and I don't know if he has anything to add or not.
What's going to be next?
We did take an aggressive look at that White Birch 6 with the favorable bids that we had this year. Again, the nice thing is going through the process is when we see numbers, we can always scratch items if it didn't work out for this year. But I believe it also states in here about 2018 and 2019 seal coating as well, that we might be looking at to do an aggressive approach with that the following years. Getting some of the roads that we currently have sealed and protected our investments with that.
Mayor, I would like to add, if I might, Joe Zierden pointed out to us at the committee meeting that he was recommending that we try and accelerate the seal coat in order to catch up. The optimum, as I understand it, Joey, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure you would, we try to get to these roads when they hit that 3 to 4 year age after paving. We have a lot of roads that go far beyond that we should be seal coating to try and prolong. We look at roads with a 15-year life expectancy, and I'm sure Tim, our engineer, would probably agree with me that that's really kind of a crapshoot when you come down to try and predict the lifespan of a road. There's a lot of considerations that go into that. From personal experience, I've seen trunk highways go to hell in a handbasket in one spring that we thought were about halfway through life expectancy. And those kinds of things can be attributed to events, generally flooding, for example, can have a major impact. But we are trying to recommend to the council this evening that we look at accelerating that seal coat schedule to try and keep these roads in a condition that will elongate that life expectancy well beyond the 15 years. We think it's a cost savings to the city and to its taxpayers who live here to keep those roads together as long as we can.
Councilman Baca?
No, sir.
Councilman
Nothing.
Williams?
Yeah, can someone just explain to me what the chip seal on gravel exactly is?
The way I understand it, we basically take a gravel road and then you grade it down a little bit, put in some class 5 if you need it, make a relatively good road bed, and then you lay down tar and chip seal, and you roll it after that, or?
Yep, it's a kind of a sandwich layer of bituminous material and the rock material. And it's I'd say somewhat of a demonstration type concept right now. The county, as was mentioned, knows the local research board engineer that has used it in other parts of Minnesota. So the concept is with the chip seal bid that the county is taking right now and that the city is participating in, once that contractor is known, maybe to try and work with them on this concept.
Yeah.
So
And,
this would be an experimental chunk of road.
yes.
So how does this compare to I know when the roads were first done around here, there was some kind of blacktop done, but it wasn't really good blacktop. Was it like what this is going to be?
No, and let me back up a little bit. Through the years, there's been this attempt at trying to come up with a way to make gravel roads last longer. There's been many attempts at it, different chemicals, different sandwich layers, I'll call it. So I don't think that, unless I can get some more specific details, I don't think it's the same thing that may have occurred in the past, because with the new materials, the new bituminous mixtures, they're constantly looking at what'll stick, so to speak.
And then what does this mean? It's a wash at 7 years. What does that mean?
It only lasts for 5 years, and when we look at our maintenance costs on gravel roads, our maintenance costs would be less than the seal coat program, this chip seal that we're talking about. So it's a little more expensive than dust coating and grading and managing the road. But we think it's worthwhile because it holds the road together, controls erosion better, and we just think it's worth trying.
Okay, so that's like the seal coating you put on the other roads, but it's just going straight on the gravel?
Yeah,
Is that-
it's tar, you put down rock, and then you put tar down again. And it's a real thin layer, and it isn't meant to last long. It's more of a maintenance effort than a permanent improvement.
Then if you do go to then later blacktop that road, you have to haul all that stuff away?
Not necessarily, no, I don't believe so, no.
No.
There's going to be a life to that as well, just like any of our roadways.
Yeah, and my understanding on it is that it's, I'll call it bituminous light. It's going to prevent erosion, and the streets that we're talking about, Oak, Aspen, and Birch, those streets those wash out on a regular basis. So this would be a good candidate to see if we can correct that and have something that holds the roadway in place so we can get good drainage and get that
I'm
stabilized.
opposed to it. I just didn't understand what it was.
Yeah. So I mean, it's.
Okay.
I think I'm really excited about it, and the fact that we would make it kind of a pilot project.
Yes.
We would get other, municipalities looking at it and helping us out with the design and maybe giving us some maintenance tips and what to do. So I'm really excited about this one.
Mayor, A couple other items, just a minor observation. Those of us that grew up in the city of Minneapolis would recall, if we really thought about it, those roads were not paved. They essentially were a chip seal, like we're talking about now, except they didn't call it chip seal back in that day.
It was tar. It was just tar.
Well, it was tar, and they would come in and gravel them every once in a while and tar them, and then they'd come in and they'd dig them up and re-roll them, and but they didn't have a paved road program in that town for many, many years. That was kind of a recent phenomenon. The other observation from the meeting, the Roads Committee, we did discuss very briefly in regards to future years' work. We talked about Ranchette, in particular the north end of Ranchette, which gives us a little different profile than the newer part of Ranchette going down towards County 11. In other words, if you start at Bushman Road, and how far would that run? About a quarter of a mile, maybe?
In that ballpark.
Yeah, and there's some things about that I felt that we should have our engineer take a look at it, maybe get some idea if we wanted to do a reconstruct on that portion to bring it up to standard, both from a safety consideration width, as far as pavement width, and I've had some personal experience on that road where it was difficult for this driver to determine where the center line was, but it wasn't difficult for our fine police force to determine where the center line was. And, I have a sneaking suspicion I'm not the only one that has had this encounter and tried to have it explained that, gee, was I over the center line? Where's the center line? But it might be something we want to ask WSN to do for us, just to get kind of a indication how much we're actually looking at for a reconstruct on that project.
I got some chalk, I'll go up there and
Well, I've asked to have that thing painted, but in retrospect, it probably wouldn't be worth it at this stage of the game. And we also have a major campaign that's going to be going on in this community, in the next couple of years, and that's the 371 bypass.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of truckloads of bituminous coming out of that plant and going down Ranchette out to County 11 to get over to 371. So we do have a bit of a concern as to what's going to be the impact on Ranchette, and that's something we want to pay attention to, I'm sure. That's the end of my report, I hope.
Very good.
Tom, just for clarification, what we're talking about is upping the budget for the 2017 project to $411,000 based on our estimates, and that includes the seal coating for 2017 that are.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of approving the 2017 paving and seal coating projects, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seal coating projects for 2017 are approved. Scenic Overlook and Winter Trail paving. Previously, we've gone through the various steps and have approved the project. At this point, we have the bids received, and Resolution 1606 is the authorization to move forward. Entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1606.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion, Councilmember Maroney?
I've got nothing further to add without receiving any comments not moving forward with it.
Councilman Schmidt?
No further comment.
Councilman Williams?
No.
Councilman Buchan?
None.
All those in favor of Resolution 1606 to move forward with the paving?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item of business is we have a DWI forfeited truck sale. In May of 2015, a 2002 GMC Denali was seized as a result of a DWI arrest, and the forfeiture case is now complete, and the truck was put up for sealed bids. The action here is to accept the high bid of $5,725 placed by Rick Nelson of Breezy Point And should he decline the purchase, sell the truck to Pequot Auto Sales for $5,500.
So moved.
So moved. Second. Any discussion? Councilman Maroney?
None.
Councilman Schmidt?
None?
Councilman Williams?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sale of the Denali is approved. Next item of business is the Minnesota BCA Joint Powers Agreement and Court Amendment. You have before you the contract for the Joint Powers Agreement and the all the details involved there. Councilman, Resolution 1607 is the agreement to accept the Joint Powers Agreement. I'll accept, or I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1607.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Councilman Williams?
None.
Councilman Baca?
None.
Councilman Schmidt?
Any changes from last year's or the previous JPA?
There are some. They did not give me an underlined, and I didn't go through it line by line, but I do know that there's what jumped out at me was they're going to be taking over backgrounding our IT people, which will make my life a lot better.
Councilman Maroney?
No.
All those in favor of Resolution 1607?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that completes the business we have on the agenda tonight. Meeting is adjourned.
Sorry it took so long.